My beloved child, before another ordinary moment slips quietly past you, remain here just a little longer, because some conversations are never meant for crowded rooms. They happen when the world grows silent, when the lights grow dim, and when a heart becomes too tired to keep pretending it feels nothing at all. Last night was one of those rare moments. It did not begin with dramatic words or impossible promises. It began with a long pause. The kind that says more than 1,000 sentences ever could. Your special person sat beside someone they deeply trusted, not because they had all the answers, but because they could no longer carry certain thoughts alone. For a while, they simply looked into the distance as if searching for the right way to explain something they had never spoken aloud before. Their friend noticed the silence and didn't interrupt it. Some silences deserve respect because they are quietly gathering the courage to become truth. Don't skip, because something important is waiting for you. What happened next was so gentle that almost anyone passing by would have missed its meaning completely. Their friend finally smiled and asked only one question. "You've been different lately. What's been resting on your heart?" Another pause followed. Not an uncomfortable one, but the kind that appears when someone stands at the edge of revealing a piece of themselves they have protected for far too long. Your special person lowered their eyes, took a slow breath, and for a brief moment it seemed as though they might change the subject entirely. Yet something inside them refused to run this time. There comes a quiet hour in every person's journey when hiding becomes more exhausting than honesty. Perhaps that was the hour they had unknowingly arrived at. Stay till the end, because every gentle step in this story is leading somewhere neither of them expected. Their friend waited patiently, offering no advice, no interruption, no pressure. Sometimes the greatest gift another person can offer is simply enough space for the truth to find its own voice. Your special person finally whispered a few words so softly they almost disappeared into the night air. Their friend leaned closer, not because they couldn't hear, but because they understood those words carried unusual weight. Then, after another thoughtful silence, your special person quietly confessed, "I am." The sentence stopped there. Not because they had forgotten what they wanted to say, but because once those next words escaped, nothing inside them would feel hidden anymore. Even their own heartbeats seemed to hesitate, as though waiting to discover what their heart had known long before their mind was ready to admit it. And the expression on their friend's face began to change in the smallest, most unexpected way, just before the rest of that unfinished sentence finally found the courage to continue. There are moments when the next few words carry the weight of an entire season of the heart. This was one of them. The night remained perfectly still, as though even the breeze had decided not to interrupt what was about to unfold. Your special person closed their eyes for only a second, gathered every scattered feeling they had been quietly holding together, and finally completed the sentence they had almost left unfinished. "I am trying to understand why one person keeps finding their way into my thoughts, no matter how busy life becomes." Their voice was calm, almost surprised by its own honesty. They were not making a grand declaration. They were simply admitting something they could no longer deny to themselves. Their friend didn't answer immediately. Instead, they smiled with the kind of understanding that comes from noticing changes long before they are spoken. "I wondered how long it would take before you finally said it," they replied softly. Those words caught your special person completely off guard. They looked up, confused, almost asking how anyone else could have noticed what they had worked so carefully to keep hidden. Their friend continued with gentle confidence. Every time your phone lights up, your expression changes. Every time someone mentions that one person, your eyes become quieter instead of louder. And every time you pretend nothing is happening, your silence says the opposite. For the first time in a long while, your special person didn't try to explain those observations away. They simply laughed, not because anything was funny, but because the truth often feels strangely relieving once it is finally spoken aloud. They admitted that they had spent countless evenings convincing themselves these feelings would fade if they ignored them. They filled their days with responsibilities, distractions, and unfinished plans, believing time alone would untangle everything. Yet instead of disappearing, those quiet thoughts became clearer. Not louder, just steadier. Like a gentle melody that never demanded attention, yet somehow remained impossible to forget. Their friend listened carefully before asking another unexpected question. When did you first realize this wasn't just a passing thought? The question lingered in the air. Your special person searched through memories they hadn't revisited in weeks. It wasn't one dramatic moment. It wasn't a single conversation or one unforgettable glance. It was something much quieter. They remembered smiling for no obvious reason after recalling a simple conversation. They remembered wondering how someone else's day had gone without intending to. They remembered noticing little details they would normally overlook. Piece by piece, without any announcement, one person had become part of the background rhythm of their everyday life. Don't skip. Because the quietest realizations often become the ones that change everything. Their friend nodded as if every answer confirmed something they had already suspected. You know, they said, people often wait for extraordinary signs before trusting their own hearts. But sometimes the strongest feelings arrive without making any noise at all. They don't rush in. They simply remain, until pretending not to notice becomes impossible. Those words settled deeply within your special person's heart. For several long moments, neither of them spoke. There was nothing left to prove. Nothing left to defend. Only an honest recognition that something meaningful had been growing quietly all along. Then their friend asked one final question before the conversation moved somewhere neither of them had expected. If you had the chance to say one completely honest sentence to that person, with no fear of being misunderstood, what would you say? Your special person looked toward the night sky once again. This time, the answer came immediately. A quiet truth has a remarkable way of changing the atmosphere around it. After that question settled into the silence, your special person didn't rush to answer. Their fingers traced the edge of the cup they were holding, almost as though they were searching for courage in an ordinary object. Their friend remained still, understanding that some answers cannot be hurried. They must arrive in their own time, and when they do, they often reveal far more than anyone expected. Your special person finally smiled, a small, genuine smile that carried both hope and uncertainty. If I could speak without overthinking every word, they whispered, would tell them that meeting them changed the way I look at ordinary days. Their friend tilted their head with quiet curiosity, inviting them to continue. It isn't because they did something extraordinary, your special person said. It's because they reminded me that peace can arrive through the simplest moments. A conversation. A shared laugh. A memory that appears without warning. Somehow, those little things began to matter more than I ever imagined. The confession hung gently between them. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't need to be. Sometimes the deepest feelings are the ones spoken in the calmest voice. Their friend nodded knowingly. Then why have you kept all of this to yourself? That question lingered longer than the last. Your special person looked toward the window where the reflections of the night blurred softly against the glass. Because I wanted to be certain these feelings were real, they admitted. I didn't want to confuse admiration with something deeper. I kept waiting for these thoughts to disappear, but instead, they became quieter, stronger, and more constant. Their friend smiled again, this time with unmistakable warmth. That's the interesting thing about sincere feelings, they replied. They rarely demand attention. They simply stay. Day after day. Until one evening, you realize they've been gently shaping your heart without asking for permission. Those words seem to unlock another memory. Your special person remembered all the little moments they had dismissed as coincidence. The unexpected smile that appeared while hearing your name, the times they almost reached for their phone before stopping themselves, the quiet sense of gratitude after even the shortest interaction. None of those moments had seemed important on their own. But together, they formed a story. A story they had been living long before they recognized it. Stay till the end, because the most meaningful realization had not yet been spoken. Their friend leaned forward and asked with a calm voice, "So what is it you're finally ready to admit?" Your special person closed their eyes for just a heartbeat. Then, with complete honesty, they answered. I think I've spent so much time protecting my heart, that I almost missed the fact it had already chosen someone. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was full of understanding. Then their friend took a slow breath and quietly said, "If that's truly how you feel, there's something you deserve to know about them." And the moment those words were spoken, the entire conversation began moving in a direction your special person never saw coming. No one expects a single sentence to rearrange an entire evening, yet that is exactly what happened. Your special person looked at their friend with quiet surprise, not because they feared what was coming, but because something in their friend's voice carried an unusual certainty. It wasn't excitement. It wasn't drama. It was the calm confidence of someone who had been observing the story from a different angle all along. Their friend rested their hands on the table and spoke carefully. I've wanted to tell you this before, but it never felt like the right moment. Those words settled gently into the silence. Your special person's heart became wonderfully still, as though every distraction had quietly stepped aside to make room for what mattered. You've been looking at this journey through your own eyes, their friend continued. You've spent so much time wondering whether your feelings were meaningful that you never stopped to consider something equally important. Your special person blinked. What do you mean? Their friend smiled softly. I mean, every time that person's name comes into a conversation, something changes in you. But have you ever noticed what changes in them when your name appears? The question landed like the first ray of morning light slipping through a closed curtain. Your special person searched their memory, replaying ordinary conversations they had almost forgotten. Small smiles. Gentle pauses. Comfortable moments that never seemed remarkable at the time. Had there really been something there, hidden inside those quiet exchanges? Their friend continued before another question could be asked. I've watched from the outside. Sometimes that's easier than standing in the middle of the story. I've seen the way they become more present when you're around. I've seen how naturally the conversation flows. I've noticed how your happiness seems to matter to them, even in the smallest situations. Your special person didn't interrupt. Not because they already believed every word, but because each sentence quietly matched something their own heart had been trying to understand. Don't skip. Because the smallest observation can sometimes become the missing piece of a much larger picture. You've been waiting for undeniable proof, their friend said gently. But meaningful connections rarely announce themselves with grand moments. They reveal themselves through consistency. Through kindness that doesn't ask for recognition. Through attention that feels effortless instead of forced. Your special person lowered their eyes, remembering countless little moments they had dismissed. The extra few seconds in every conversation. The unexpected message that arrived exactly when encouragement was needed. The genuine interest in even the simplest parts of life. None of those moments demanded attention. Yet together, they formed something surprisingly beautiful. For the first time that night, your special person wasn't thinking about uncertainty. They were thinking about possibility. Their friend noticed the quiet change immediately. You see it now, don't you? Your special person gave the smallest nod. I think. They whispered, I've been searching for extraordinary signs while overlooking extraordinary consistency. Their friend smiled with unmistakable warmth. Exactly. Another peaceful silence followed. Then, almost as if remembering something important, their friend reached into a pocket and unfolded a small piece of paper. I wasn't sure whether to show you this, they said quietly. But after everything you've shared tonight, I think it's finally time. Your special person's eyes rested on the folded note. They had no idea when it had been written, or why seeing it suddenly felt like the beginning of an entirely new chapter. The folded note remained untouched for a moment. Your special person looked at it, then back at their friend, almost afraid that opening it too quickly might interrupt the quiet meaning that had been building throughout the night. Some things are not powerful because they are dramatic. They are powerful because they arrive at exactly the right time. Their friend placed the note gently on the table instead of handing it over immediately. This isn't what you think, they said with a reassuring smile. It isn't a secret message. It isn't a prediction. It's simply something I wrote down after watching the two of you over time. Your special person frowned with gentle curiosity. You wrote something, about us? Their friend nodded. Not about what will happen. About what I've noticed. That answer somehow made the note feel even more meaningful. Slowly, your special person unfolded the paper. There were only a few lines written across it. Nothing elaborate. Nothing exaggerated. Just honest observations. The first line read, some people make you feel excited for a moment. Others make you feel at peace without even realizing they're doing it. Your special person paused. Their breathing slowed. They continued reading. I've watched you become calmer after talking with them. I've watched you carry their kindness long after the conversation ended. That isn't something people can easily pretend. Their friend didn't say a word. There was no need. The silence allowed every sentence to settle naturally. Stay till the end, because the final line was the one your special person would remember long after this evening was over. Your special person's eyes moved to the last sentence on the page. The strongest connections rarely begin with certainty. They begin with quiet consistency, until one day you realize your heart has been speaking long before your voice ever did. For several long seconds, nothing happened. Then something unexpected appeared. Not tears. Not surprise. Just a peaceful smile. The kind that arrives when scattered thoughts finally begin fitting together. Your special person folded the note carefully, holding it as though it had become more than paper. "I've spent so much time asking myself whether these feelings made sense," they admitted. Their friend answered gently. "Maybe the better question was never whether they made sense." Your special person looked up. "Then what was it?" Their friend smiled. "Whether they made you become a kinder, calmer, more genuine version of yourself." That question lingered beautifully. Your special person didn't need time to answer anymore. Because somewhere between the long pauses, the quiet honesty, and the simple words written on a folded piece of paper, they already knew. They softly whispered. They did. Their friend leaned back with quiet satisfaction. "I thought so." The evening could have ended there. It would have been enough. But just as they prepared to leave, your special person's phone lit up on the table. One new message appeared on the screen. The sender's name made them stop completely. Their friend noticed the expression on their face, smiled knowingly, and said only one sentence before they opened it. "I have a feeling this conversation isn't over yet." The screen remained illuminated for only a few seconds, yet those few seconds seemed to stretch into an entire chapter. Your special person didn't reach for the phone immediately. Instead, they simply looked at the familiar name resting quietly on the display. It wasn't the notification itself that caught their attention. It was the timing. After everything that had just been spoken, after every hidden feeling had finally found a voice, this unexpected message felt less like an interruption, and more like a gentle continuation of the same story. Their friend noticed the hesitation and smiled with calm understanding. "You don't have to rush," they said softly. "Some messages deserve to be opened with a peaceful heart." Your special person nodded. They took one slow breath before unlocking the screen. The message wasn't long. It contained only a few simple words. "I hope your evening has been kind to you. I don't know why, but I was thinking about you tonight." Nothing more. No dramatic confession. No overwhelming promise. Just a quiet truth, offered without expectation. Your special person read it again. Then once more. Each time, the words seemed to carry a little more meaning than before. Their friend couldn't see the message, but they didn't need to. "I don't think you're smiling because of the words," they said. "I think you're smiling because they arrived exactly when your heart needed honesty instead of certainty." Those words settled gently. Your special person looked out into the quiet night beyond the window. "So many times," they whispered, "I convinced myself I was imagining the connection." Their friend shook their head with quiet warmth. "Sometimes we spend so much energy searching for extraordinary signs that we overlook sincere ones. A thoughtful message. Consistent kindness. Remembering the little things. Reaching out without a reason other than simply wanting to know how someone is. Don't skip, because the smallest gestures often reveal the deepest intentions." Your special person's thumb hovered over the keyboard. Several replies came to mind. They typed one. Deleted it. Typed another. Deleted that one too. Their friend laughed gently. Still trying to find the perfect words? A quiet smile appeared. Maybe. Their friend leaned back. Then stop searching for perfect. Honest lasts longer. Those words changed everything. Your special person erased every carefully prepared sentence and began again. This time, the reply was simple. "Thank you. Hearing from you made this evening even brighter." They read it once. No complicated language. No hidden meaning. Just genuine appreciation. For the first time that night, sending the message didn't feel frightening. It felt peaceful. The message was sent. Neither of them spoke while they waited. There was no expectation. Only stillness. Then, almost immediately, another notification appeared. Your special person's eyes widened ever so slightly. Their friend noticed. What happened? Your special person looked at the new message, smiled with quiet disbelief, and whispered. They answered faster than I expected. Their friend couldn't help smiling too. Well, they said softly. Perhaps they've been hoping this conversation would begin just as much as you have. Your special person slowly opened the reply. The very first sentence made them pause. It read, "Can I tell you something I've been meaning to say for a long time?" And in that single, gentle question, the night quietly opened the door to a conversation neither of them would ever forget. Some conversations don't begin with answers. They begin with permission. Your special person stared at the message for a long moment, not because they were unsure what it meant, but because they could feel the sincerity behind it. There was no rush in those words. No attempt to impress. Just a quiet request to be heard. Their thumb rested lightly against the screen. Then they replied with only 3 words. "I'm listening. Always." The response was sent, and once again the night became wonderfully still. A few moments later, another message appeared. I kept telling myself I would wait for the perfect time. But every perfect time came and went, and I stayed silent. Tonight. I don't want silence to decide for me anymore. Your special person read the sentence twice. Then a third time. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't overwhelming. It simply felt real. Their friend watched the expression slowly change across their face. "I've never seen you this peaceful," they said quietly. Your special person smiled. "I think that's because nothing about this feels forced." Their friend nodded. The most meaningful words rarely arrive with noise. They arrive when both hearts are finally ready to hear them. Stay till the end, because the next message carried a realization your special person never expected. The screen lit up again. "Do you know what I've admired most about you?" Your special person paused. They could think of 100 possible answers. None of them prepared them for what came next. It's not what you say. It's how people feel after they've talked with you. You have a way of making ordinary moments feel calmer. I've noticed it for a long time. Your special person's eyes softened. Those were the very qualities their friend had quietly described only minutes earlier. Without planning it. 2 different voices had spoken the same truth. Their friend noticed the emotion settling gently across the room. What did they say? Your special person looked up with a smile that seemed brighter than anything the evening had offered before. They noticed the parts of me I never thought anyone noticed. Their friend smiled knowingly. That's often how genuine affection begins. Another message arrived before either of them could say anything else. I don't know where this journey leads, and I'm not asking for answers tonight. I just wanted you to know that meeting you has been one of the quiet blessings of my life. For a long while. Your special person didn't type. They didn't need to. Sometimes gratitude speaks loudest through silence. Then they looked at their friend and whispered something they hadn't realized until that very moment. I spent so much time hoping someone would understand me. Their friend waited. Your special person finished the thought with quiet certainty. I never realized, someone already did. The room became peaceful again. No excitement. No confusion. Only the gentle feeling that something honest had finally stepped out of the shadows. Just as your special person prepared to write back, another message appeared, shorter than all the others, yet somehow impossible to ignore. There's one more thing I've never told you. Your special person's heartbeat seemed to slow rather than race. They looked at the screen. Their friend looked at them. Neither of them spoke. Because somehow, they both knew the next words would become the most unforgettable part of the entire conversation.